All right.
I got you.
That,
I'm adjusting back. Um, I love the fact that we're all able to go to Disney together and create
oh,
actually such a good few moments.
boy, it was it. Yeah. Yeah. That was a good time. It was even more fabulous. It's just wonderful being with you and Cindy, but it's just fabulous having, Michael and Rebecca there, and all the children, of course. But it's just, oh gosh, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
The memories that we created, and it's really I find it really funny because I had to ask you, so I grabbed this and I was like, what's your first thought when you see this now? Because now you guys got one.
Yeah.
What's your first thought?
Oh, the week we spent there with you. I mean, it's yeah, and it was a really good time. We had been to Disney World. I don't know. God, I can't remember when. 5, 6, 7 years ago, and
Yeah.
and it's just okay. It was fun, but we weren't planning on going back until you and Cindy invited us, and it was just okay. We'll go back now. Yeah, it's yeah.
Your view too.
Oh,
What'd you think? What was like the best part? Like you guys say, like there were so many good parts of the day, and you specifically touched so many people
yeah,
with so many different conversations. I
yeah,
saw that.
yeah, and that's one of my main purposes in life is to do that. Is to just tell people that God is good and that we live in the greatest country in the world at the best time. And
Yeah.
because one of the things that I keep finding over and over again, and I experience it myself, is the anxiety about all the turmoil that's going on. And it's just, guys, no, you don't need to, you don't, you should not be rude to your neighbors. It's just, I don't care what your political uh, bias or
Take.
background
Yeah.
is. I don't. I just, you be you, I'll be me. And okay. But it's just that frustrates me. And,
Which
and,
which
and,
part specifically? The part
just
that they don't put the effort in, or the part that they just don't see the bigger picture?
the animosity that people have that they exhibit. We've gotten into a social media culture where people think that they can say and do anything without any consequences, and it's just
Yeah.
that's a remarkably naive view. Of of course, there are going to be consequences. You do something well, the consequence is you get paid, you get congratulated, whatever. You do something poorly, okay. If it's one of your child, you discipline them.
Yeah.
If it's one of your students, you say you can do better. But just completely across the fence when you are up blocking a roadway, you assault a police officer,
Yeah.
you assault one of your neighbors. It's like Rand Paul, the senator from Kentucky, had a neighbor who came up and knocked him down and kicked him and broke 6 or 7 of his ribs. Yeah, it just
Why? For what reason?
because he was mowing the lawn incorrectly, and it's just wow. Hold it,
Yeah.
no. And I'm sure there were some legal consequences to it, but it's just yeah, that's completely off beyond the pale in terms of any type of interaction that you should have. And so one of the reasons that I like talking to people is just to relate to them, because we just got back from trip to Boston,
Yeah, you did.
and we got to see Plymouth Rock, we got to see the Mayflower, which was just fabulous. We got to see the USS Constitution, which is
Oh.
the oldest active ship in the world. It's been in regular service since 1775.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
still active?
Yeah, and the other name for it is Old Ironsides,
Yeah.
and it
Fits.
because when it would go into battle, the other ships would shoot cannon at it, and the cannonballs would literally bounce off the sides of the ship. That's a good ship to be on. But we got to see that. We got to see the National Monument to our forefathers, which
Yeah.
Kirk Cameron did a movie on called Monumental, and I highly recommend it. It is just, you watch what the Pilgrims went through to get to
Oh,
this
yeah.
country, and that the first winter there, half of them died. I mean,
That's horrible.
well, but that's our legacy. And what they were saying was, we value religious freedom more than we do our lives. We're willing to go face down in the snow so that our children can step onto our backs into a free country. And it's wow. Okay.
I kind of think about that with my kids, even.
Yeah.
With other people. Yeah, you're willing
Yeah.
to do a lot for
That's
them.
right. You want what is best for your children. You don't want what's easiest for them, because that then allows them to get through life way too easy. And life isn't easy. Life wasn't meant to be easy. There are lessons to be learned. And in my greatest failures, that's where my greatest lessons have been.
Yeah.
And it hurts. Okay. And what was the purpose of the lesson? Well, it was to remove my arrogance. It was to humble me. It was to teach me a lesson about life that I needed to learn immediately, and to actually understand immediately, because there have been, in the last 5-10 years, there have been all these lessons that I look back on and I think, I didn't really learn that correctly. And I've been able to do a lot of compilation and realize, oh, that's what that was all about. But this is way late. The purpose of a lesson is for you to learn the lesson. You don't have to, it's like when you're doing math, you don't have to get all of the problems correct.
No.
As a matter of fact, the purpose of having a good math teacher in the classroom with you is that if you get a problem wrong, they can help you get it correct.
You're right.
Yeah. And so, and I look back on that and I think, well, where did my students learn best? Was it, and most of the time it's when they got a problem wrong, and then either with another student in the class helping them or something that I did, they were able to work it out. And it's just, okay, yeah, here's a success. And it's just, okay. But the turmoil, political turmoil in our country right now. I was just talking to a retired Navy chief down at Sam's Club today.
Good old Sam's Club.
Oh, and yeah, and it was just fabulous meeting him. But he said one of the things that bothers him most with today is just the vitriol, the divisiveness that's going on in the country, and it's a real concern. And so it's a matter of, okay, how do you, at a personal level, how do you deal with this? Because you want to be aware of what's going on, but you don't want to be frightened by it. And you want to have, I'm the guy that likes to plan everything out, as you no doubt have noticed. Yeah, I put an itinerary together when we go on a trip, and and it's just a matter of, okay, I like to plan things out. If I see a problem, and the engineer in me says, there's a problem over there, let's go fix it. And so and my greatest difficulty is realizing I can't fix that problem. It's above
Why
my
though?
it's above my pay
Why?
grade. It's out of my realm, but at the same time, I want to impact others around me. And that's why I work around, and I'm talking to people saying, a lot of times I'll walk up to specifically dads, but I talk to moms too, and I was saying, you're doing a good job. And it one dad mentioned to me this 6 months ago. He said, well, I don't always. And I go, welcome to life. You're not always spot on. Allow yourself some grace, because you don't get better if you beat yourself up. Yeah, you need to learn the lessons and all of that, but you also need to be able to forgive yourself. Learn the lesson, forgive yourself, move forward, because that's what Christ would want you to do. Because if you're constantly beating yourself up, knocking yourself down, then you're much more likely to be tempted to do something. Well, I'll just do this once. No, you're not going to do it once. You're setting a pattern. And specifically for parents, it's really important, because you are modeling for your children. Every single day you get up, your children look at you and they go, oh, wow, here's my dad, and it's just, I met a couple in Boston Airport. We were flying back to Nashville, and they had the father was standing there holding the son, and the son is just this beautiful child, and he's happy, and just life is just perfect. And so I walk around, and I walk up to his wife, and I say, you married the right guy. He just loves that child of yours just so much. And she starts laughing and goes, I did. And it's just, and we talked for, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just, holy cow, this is one of the things you learn as a teacher, is that it's a privilege to be able to speak into the lives of your students.
You mentioned that before.
Yeah, it's not about the math. Math is just a tool to get them into the classroom and get them thinking, problem solving, that sort of thing. But the rest of it is that you have all of these valuable people called students that look up to you, and they want to get order out of chaos, because many of them, their lives are in chaos. And so how do you make sense of what's going on in my life, kind of thing. And it's just, okay. And I, more than not, I would just offer them another perspective. But at the same time, it's just, okay, many things you cannot impact, you cannot change. Okay.
Can't control.
And it's just, what are you going to do? Oh, okay. You're going to live, learn, and do the best you can. Okay. And it's like, I think I mentioned this before. There was that one student who came up to me a couple years after she graduated from high school, and she was apologizing for the C that she'd gotten in my class. And it was, and it's just, I didn't remember the grade that she got. I was just happy to see her again, because she was just such a wonderful person. As I told her, every day she walked into my classroom, the lights just came on, because she just had a fabulous personality, a beautiful smile, and was just fun to be around. And it's just, okay. I don't care about that. I don't care about
It's interesting. It's interesting, because you gave me D's. I think we actually talked about this that night in the hotel. I was like, you know what? I think you do give the fair grade. You earned your grade.
And that's the other part of it is that I try in all interactions that I have, and to be honest with myself, but when I'm dealing with other people, is to be moral, ethical, truthful. Much of it has to do with, I was trained to do that as an officer. But the other part of it is that that's the Christian thing to do. Because You don't want to lie. Oh, there's a commandment about lying and stealing. And it's just no. You are fooling yourself if you believe that kind of activity is appropriate. And it's just no, cannot do that. Actually, you can do that, but it's not. It's despicable behavior. I was about to whitewash it, and it's no. It's despicable behavior. Don't need to do that. So
what's interesting is, so I had a not sit down, I guess, podcast with Mr. Hughes. He was a colonel, and we were talking, and we actually kind of touched up on the same thing about like integrity and how important that is, and how that's the most important. It all starts with having integrity.
Yeah.
And I talked about that white lie, the lie that I told that got me fired from the exec position.
Yeah.
And how interesting of a lesson that is, because I am very thankful to myself for telling that lie and then realizing the impact of that. And it wasn't so much of, like you said, it's not even the lie itself, it's what the after ripple effects.
Right.
So I wanted to tell you, I told Cindy this story, actually. It's when we were in marriage counseling, and I love it because it allows us an opportunity to talk about things, talk about feelings. And we don't even have to be we are in such a good situation. I'd like to say we're in such a good, safe space that we will be driving, and I'll pull the car over and be like, hey, you're hiding something right now, and you don't want to tell me because you know that it'll offend me. Why don't you just let it out and let the flow.
Yeah.
And we are at that point now that I was like, it's for our kids. It's not even about you and me at this point. It's for our kids.
Yeah.
If we don't fix whatever you're upset about, or whatever we don't fix, the kids are going to get the repercussions.
Yeah.
And so I found out through talking that my mom taught me that lying was okay. Yeah. My mom showed me in many different examples. I specifically remember one time we were at a Best Buy, and I was 9 years old, and I wanted a Napoleon Dynamite DVD, and I wanted it, and she took one of the DVDs from the rack. Well, actually, sorry. She took the whole stack of DVDs in the rack and threw it in the $5 bin and mixed it up. And then she went up to the cashier, and she was like, that was $5. And my brain remembers that for the oddest things. And then it just builds up from there. Yeah. So what are you teaching people when you're really just